I just finished. I just finished the Marguerite dress and I'm so excited. Thank you so much for watching. This is a review of the Sew Over It Marguerite pattern, and I want to talk to you about the fabric that I used, the actual pattern, and some tips and tricks. So first of all, my Sew Over It obsession. In 2018, my sister and I decided to start sewing more of our own clothes. For me, part of that was I am just such an odd size. So I am 5'4.5" and I range between an F and a G cup. So not easy to fit. The first Sew Over It pattern I made was the Zoe dress, and I made it 1 year ago for Easter. So this is sort of my 1 year sewing anniversary of coming back to sewing after growing up sewing a little bit with my mom. But anyway, the Zoe, it was fun and I learned a lot. I learned about pattern placement and fabric choice for sure. I don't think I would use the same fabric that I did last time, even though I love the print. I didn't love the cotton, it was just so wrinkly. But then along came the capsule wardrobe ebook and I fell in love with that, and I made a molly top, a couple of different sizes because you need to check your print settings. Apparently I was printing at 85%, and let's just say it came out a little small. After that, I fixed the molly top and made a version that I wear all the time. You can see it here. And then I also made the Alex shirt dress from the ebook and loved it as well. Also here. After that, the Work to Weekend ebook came out and I fell in love with that as well. I especially loved the Edie top for work. And I first made a dress version, which I'll pop in, and I've since fixed it and kind of altered it a little bit. It was a little bit large in the back. I hope to make some Edie tops coming soon. And then I also just signed up for the online trouser class, so Camille trousers are in my future and I'm excited. But about the Marguerite dress, first of all, the fabric that I used a rayon from Rifle Paper Company. I love their prints. If you noticed in the Alex shirt dress, which I'll pop back in here, that's also Rifle Paper Company fabric, and it's just gorgeous. And so I got this from fabric.com. I'm not sure if you can still get it, and I'm not sure where you can get it if you guys are in other countries. But to use a rayon, it was suggested as one of the intermediate level fabrics. I'll talk to you later about whether I like what I used or not as far as the actual pattern. But rayon itself, along with jersey fabric, it just needs a little bit of TLC. So you're going to want to get ballpoint pins. You're going to want a ballpoint needle. You're probably going to want a walking foot, which looks like this little guy. I think I got it on Amazon for $11 maybe. And you just need to treat it carefully so that it doesn't snag. So, talking about the actual pattern, a couple of things that I really liked about it, it is roomier. You can tell from the way that it's pictured, there's a lot of gathering, and there's gathering in the back as well. And so for somebody with a larger bust size like me, I didn't have to do a full bust adjustment, which was awesome. I really liked that. I liked that the steps are well illustrated, they're well explained, but I want to walk you through a couple of things so hopefully you don't have the same pitfalls that I did. In step 16, in the following steps, y'all just follow the pattern exactly. I did not. For some reason, the way that patterns explain putting in a sleeve always seems backwards to me. And so I'll do it exactly like they're saying it, and I'll slide it in, and it just feels weird. But anyway, I saw that step 16 looked to be the place where you were putting the sleeve in. So I thought, oh, I've got this. I always do it reverse of what other people say, but it turns out right, so I'm just going to do it my way. And that is not what step 16 is doing. So to give you a little example, this sleeve, I was inserting it as if it were a sleeve, and it is not. It is actually, here's your neckline. Your sleeve is coming over and cuffing. You are inserting it backwards on purpose so that it can cuff around and become this little thing right here. This little thing over here too. So when you're looking at step 16, it's not a regular inserting a sleeve. Don't make the mistake I did. I spent an entire afternoon working on that and had to do a lot of stitch ripping. So not the most fun. The pockets as well, I really struggled on how they went. Typically you insert one to the front and one to the back, and then you put them together and sew down that entire seam. This did not work that way, but again, just follow the steps exactly. So with the pockets, you're attaching it only on one side, and then you do the outside, you overlock it, and then you put it to the seam allowance, just like it says, and it wound up working just great. The pockets are awesome, and the way that they are designed, it helps it to stay towards the front of the dress instead of getting hooked on the sides or going behind you. So again, just follow the pattern exactly as it's written. It worked out just perfectly. The pockets are gorgeous. The gathering as well, I watched the Marguerite video that Lisa Comfort did, and she suggested not to do too much gathering on the sides because it'll make your hips look a little bit accentuated. So I tried to follow that. I think I still did a little too much gathering on the sides. But it was really helpful. Keep your pattern pieces handy. They are actually marked with where you need to gather. And also always make sure that you're making those notches. I didn't when I was first sewing, and the notches are really important in this pattern, especially for the gathering. You really need those. I learned a few new skills in this pattern, and I was really thankful for that, but it was also a little bit difficult. If you are someone who does not like to hand stitch, like me, you're gonna need to learn for this pattern. You need to slip stitch parts of the sleeves. That's one thing. You're slip stitching the entire waistband on the inside, and you're also slip stitching the hem, which technically, I guess if you wanted to, you could just do a regular seam on the bottom of the hem, but the other parts you cannot do with a machine. So I am somebody who grew up going to Girl Scouts, and my method of sewing was kind of like this. And that's what I thought slip stitching was. And when I was working on the Zoe dress and on the Alex shirt dress, especially the Alex shirt dress, there was one part that I was supposed to hand stitch. I contemplated hot gluing it at first. I decided to iron on a hem tape instead, which didn't work awesome, let's just say. But I hated hand stitching so much that I was willing to do that. Slip stitching is not that hard. I'm going to post a link in the description of the video and let you know. It was, I think, a 1.5 minute video. It was so helpful. Like, I could totally do that. So I learned a lot about slip stitching in this, and I also tried out French seams on a couple of the seams. That was not included in the pattern. I just tried it out, and it was kind of fun, and it made it really pretty on the inside. So I did learn some new skills. I also just wanted to give you some tips as I'm closing out. The main tip that they always write on the inside of their patterns is allow plenty of time, and you really do want to. I see people that are more experienced on the Facebook groups, and they say things like, I whipped this up in an afternoon. I'm going to let you know that this dress took me a couple of weeks that I've been working on it. Obviously, I'm not working on it all the time, but it did take me a while. And I told you, even with the pockets, I had to step away for a couple of days because I was just getting so frustrated and stressed. And when I do that, I make a lot of mistakes when I'm sewing. So allow time, drink lots of tea, get some chocolate, take a break. That would be my main tip. The other tip that I have for you and for my past self that decided not to do this is to pin and pin and pin some more. Pins have been so helpful. If you're a beginning seamstress and you want to skip that step, just don't. Pinning is so crucial, especially when you are matching up the gatherings on this waistband and also matching up the waistband with the waistband on the back. You don't want it to look crooked or off when you have the zipper in. And also if you're using rayon or you're using something else that's a little bit more tricky and not just a basic cotton, get some ballpoint pins. They don't look different when you look at them just with your eye, but something about them on the very tip, they're a little bit more rounded and they don't snag your fabric. I did with my Alex shirt dress. I needed a safety pin part of it at one point, and I used a regular safety pin, and it snagged my fabric like crazy. And I was really upset because the dress was already finished and I couldn't do anything about it. But anyway, use a ballpoint pen and pin as much as you need to. There were also several steps in the pattern that I felt like I needed to iron more. than the pattern called for. So iron if you need to. Again, rayon itself does not hold ironing well, which, like I said, is also a blessing because it doesn't crease that much. And so when you're wearing it, it's not wrinkly. But I tended to iron and then insert little pins as I was going so that it would stay. And I also have, oh my goodness, guys, do you watch Pattern Pals? I love Pattern Pals. They are hilarious. But Barbara from Pattern Pals has this new thing called Rocking Stitch Sewing Gauge, and it is so awesome. I'm so glad that I got it, especially because in the US we use a different system of measurement, and so when I was having to convert that, and it would say fold over by 1.5 centimeters, which again, I love Sew Over It patterns, so I'm going to keep using them, but we don't have rulers with centimeters readily available. And so I got this little thing from Barbara, and it's amazing because you can fold over and see what you're ironing underneath. It is the most amazing little tool, so just go on her Etsy shop and get one. You will thank yourself for it. The last suggestion I have is to reach out for help. When I was struggling with the cuffs, I told you, and when I was struggling with the pockets, the Sew Over It social media community is so much fun. I went to the makers group and I searched Marguerite and found a couple of people who had made the dress before. And I reached out and I sent a couple of messages and people were so helpful. And actually the girl that I private messaged, she said, "Your sleeve is on inside out." Which it looked correct because it was right sides and right sides right here. But again, it's supposed to be upside down so you cuff it. And I'm so thankful for the encouragement of people that are posting, that are sharing their makes, that are helping you figure out things that are a little bit hard when you're doing it by yourself in your own sewing room. A couple of the things about the pattern that are a little bit frustrating for me, if you are watching this just as a review, the back of it has a buttonhole detail, and I'll show you a picture of that here. Even on Lisa Comfort's video, I could tell by the way that she was wearing it that the back of it kind of hangs down, and I don't love that about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to insert a full zip next time all the way to the neckline, or if I'm going to test this out. Just the way that the pattern is, it's very breezy and not really tight fitting, but I feel like a buttonhole is best when you have something that's laying flat, not when it's something that's billowy, because it kind of makes the zipper pull on it and look a little bit heavy, and it looks a little misshapen. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have some older ladies come up to me at church and try to help me zip my dress. I don't know, it just looks like it's not fully zipped. And I'm also gonna say it could be because I used rayon. She suggests cotton. I chose not to use cotton, so maybe cotton doesn't do the same thing, but it did seem to on her video. So if you notice my pattern, this is a PDF pattern. It's not the printed pattern, but what I did, I saw a video from a blogger that calls herself Melly Sews, and she talked about printing them out, labeling them, putting them in, I think, 6-inch by 9-inch envelopes, and putting them in a shoebox container that would help you to organize them, and I really liked it. So I organized all my patterns. You can see right up here, my Sew Over It patterns, and I'm going to post that link down below as well. So thanks, Melly, for the idea, because my patterns were out of control. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you all make beautiful Marguerite dresses if that's what you're into right now. If you have any comments or any questions, you can post those down below, and you can also find me on the Facebook Sew Over It group. I'll be posting my makes there as well. Thanks.